Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Eugene Moindong. I'm from BBA 2020 International Finance course. And in this video, I will explain to you the last 6 weeks of my class regarding the International Finance course. So the first question or the overarching question will be, what is international finance? International finance covers a wide range of aspects from foreign exchange, multinational companies, to factors influencing the movement of the foreign exchange. Basically, the goal of international finance is to facilitate global economic activity by providing the financial infrastructure to support the international trade and investment. The next is we're going to get a little bit of review of the corporate finance. And in this section, I will explain 2 concepts. The first one is the capital asset pricing model, and the second one is the principal agent problem. The capital asset pricing model is used as a benchmark to gather information on determining the rate of return of the stocks. And for the principal agent problem, discuss the conflict of interest between shareholder and the manager. The principal agent theory examines how the interests and objectives of the principal agent may differ and how this can lead to a potential conflict of interest between 2 parties. The theory proposed that the principal needs to design a set of incentives or contract to align the agent's interests with their own goals. Basically, to tackle with the conflict of interest, the theory proposed that they need to set a design of incentives or contracts to align the agent interests with also their own goal. The next one is we're going to discuss about a multinational company. So before we're going to dig deeper, we're going to ask about it. What is a multinational companies? So a multinational companies is a corporation that has operations and subsidiaries in multiple countries. It is often referred to as a global company or a transnational company. These companies typically have a centralized management system and coordinate their operations and strategies across different countries, with the aim of maximizing profits and achieving economies of scale. So the question will be why the company should scale up their business to become a multinational company, or why should they do business internationally. So there are international opportunities that you can get when you scale up your business into a multinational company. The first one is investment opportunities, and the second one is financing opportunities. We can see from this graph that the investment opportunities from the multinational companies is bigger compared to the purely domestic firms. Second point is that the marginal returns on projects, we can see that the multinational companies have a bigger margin compared to purely domestic firms. For second point, we can see that the marginal returns on projects for multinational companies is bigger compared to purely domestic firms. Okay, so in addition, because they have more marginal return on the projects and they have more investment opportunities, the multinational companies are also exposed to the international risk. So the first one is exchange rate movement. Second one, we have foreign economies, and the last one we have political risk. So for the exchange rate movement refers to the potential financial loss that an individual or organization may experience due to fluctuation in currency exchange rate. This risk arises when one currency is exchanged for another and the value of exchange currency changes relative to the original currencies. The next point, foreign economies, refers to the potential financial loss that an individual or organization may experience due to political or economic factors in a foreign country. And this risk arises from various sources, such as changes in government policies, regulation, or economic condition. And also there are other factors that also could affect the value of investment or operations in that country. Okay, and next one we're going to discuss about the foreign exchange market. So the foreign exchange market basically is a network of banks, financial institutions, brokers, and individual traders who exchange currency with each other at constantly exchanging exchange rates. And the exchange rate is the price at which one currency can be exchanged for another. And because there are volatility between the exchange rate, and to tackle with this, the MNC company can use a forward contract, which enables them to lock in the exchange rate at which it will buy or sell at certain quantity of currency on a specified future date. Next, we're going to discuss about factors that affect currency exchange rate. So basically, there are many factors that can affect the currency exchange rate. The first one is we're going to discuss the demand and supply of goods or services in the foreign versus in the domestic market. First one, we have the relative inflation rate. Second one is the relative income. And the third one is the government restriction on flow of goods and services. So for the relative inflation rate, higher inflation leads to lower buying power, which then leads to depreciation of a currency of the nation. Second point is the relative income. So the idea behind this theory is that as a country income grows, the citizen become wealthier and demand more goods and services. This increased demand leads to higher prices, which can cause inflation. And to combat inflation, the country's central bank may increase their interest rate, which can make its currency more attractive to foreign investors seeking higher returns. This increased demand for the currency, and it can cause the currency to appreciate in value relative to the other currencies. For the next one is we have to discuss the demand and supply securities. So there are relative interest rate and the government restriction on capital flow. For the relative interest rate, a higher interest rate leads to more return on investment, leads to higher capital inflow from foreign and appreciate currency of the country. Basically, when a country have a higher interest rate, it will be more attractive because foreign investor can gain or get more returns because of the higher interest rate. And when the capital from foreign goes in, which is the capital inflow for the country itself, it will then leads to the appreciation of the currency of the country itself. Next is we're going to discuss about arbitrage. So what is arbitrage itself? Basically, arbitrage is capitalizing on the discrepancy in quoted prices to make a riskless profit. Basically, arbitrage is when you take an advantage of the different prices between the two markets, and when you buy and sell immediately in another market. And the effect of arbitrage is on the demand and supply is to cause prices to realign such that no further risk-free profits can be made. As applied to the foreign exchange and international money market, arbitrage take three common forms. The first one is locational arbitrage, which capitalize on discrepancies in exchange rate across locations. And second one is triangular arbitrage, which capitalize on discrepancies in cross exchange rate. And the third one is covered interest arbitrage, which capitalize on discrepancies between the forward rate and also the interest rate differential. So the next is we're going to discuss about the interest rate differentials. We have interest rate parity, we have also the international Fisher effect, and we have also the Fisher effect. So for the international rate parity, it is paired with the forward rate discount or premium. And for the Fisher effect, it is compared or aligned with the inflation rate differential. And the last one, which is the international Fisher effect, is aligned to exchange rate expectation, which will then connect with the purchasing power parity. To interpret the purchasing power parity, there are two forms. First one is absolute form of purchasing power parity. Second one is the relative form of purchasing power parity. So the absolute form is an extension of the law of one price. It suggests that the prices of the same product sample, one burger in the US is costing you $1, and in Indonesia with the rates of $1, for example, equals to 10,000, the $1 burger in the US with an absolute form should cost 10,000 rupiah for one burger in Indonesia. So they have a different price between the US and Indonesia just using with different currencies. And the next one, which is the relative form of purchasing power parity, accounts for market imperfections like transportation costs, for example, tariffs and quotas. And it states that the rate of price changes should be similar but cannot be 100% the same as the absolute form of PPP. Next one is we're going to discuss about efficient market theory. So what is an efficient market? So in an efficient market, it is explained that all relevant information are available to the market and reflects to the price of stock market. Before I'm going to dig about the efficient market theory with Professor Roy, we have a quiz which then we will forecast the movement of the exchange rate. And many groups use many methods to forecast the exchange rate. Some use form of forecast in Excel, some use another method, but at the end, the lower error or the lower marginal error when the Professor Roy Sambel are using the random walk theory. This can conclude that the efficient market reflects that the past information and data cannot be used to accurately predict future prices, and the random walk method which the Prof. Roy used have the better results. This leads to the conclusion of that the EMH is a spectrum of efficiency, where the answer is not always yes or not always no. So for example, in developed countries, market can be 100% efficient. On the other hand, developing market, for example Indonesia, are in multiple form, can be in a weak form, can also be in semi-strong form. But at the end, it goes along to the efficient market itself. Okay, so I think that's it for the last 6 weeks materials that I explained for the International Finance course. Thank you for watching and bye-bye.